Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time since I've made a video for you guys on the WRX. As you can tell, I did buy something for my car. This is the Diode Dynamics taillight to turn signal conversion kit, which I will definitely do an install for you, especially since there's not one person out there on YouTube that has made a video for the VB generation WRX that has the F1 light and also this conversion kit. It's very simple from what I've seen and what I've read, but I'll definitely make a video for you guys that's more in-depth and will help you out if you want to modernize the rear end of your car. Also, I got the LED lights for my reverse lights. That will make a huge difference. But that is not why we are here. I'm going to go over my last 6+ months of ownership with the WRX, and we're going to go over the good things, the bad things, and just be straight up honest with you guys over what I've experienced with my car since purchasing it back in November. So let's dive right into this video. Alright, so the VB generation WRX has been around long enough where people are giving their opinions as to whether they regret purchasing the WRX or not. And I think there's a clear divide between people who have owned a VA or other older WRXs in the past and those who are hopping into this platform for the first time, and I am one of them. I never owned a Subaru in the past. I didn't like JDM culture. I'm not a big fan of Japanese cars, and somehow I ended up with an orange WRX, which I have completely fallen in love with, and that was not what was supposed to happen. I have talked about this a bit on the channel that I was only going to own the WRX for about 6 months. I didn't know how to drive manual prior to purchasing this car, and I wanted to daily drive a car with a stick, and I felt the WRX was giving me the best value for the price at around $35,000, mostly in regards to the fact that it has all-wheel drive and, of course, that 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine under the hood. There was no other car that was going to match what the WRX was going to give me. So I had maybe lower expectations walking into this platform compared to those who owned a VA that was tuned, that was modified. And those owners are complaining that the VB just isn't giving them enough. We've also talked about how the VB is more softer, more refined, and a lot of old school WRX purists don't want that. For myself though, after 7 months of ownership and over 6,000 miles on the odometer, I only have some few reservations. There's a few things mechanically that I'm a bit concerned about with this car for the longevity. But in regards to if I wanted something else, or maybe I should have chose something else, there just really isn't anything out there at $35,000 that completely makes sense. The only other car that I would have cross-shopped the WRX with would have been the Volkswagen GLI. And I had the opportunity to drive one about 3 weeks ago with a manual, and it was an Autobahn, so around $33,000, $34,000. That car was well equipped. I think features for the price makes it a great choice. I actually think the GLI is very overlooked in its market. It never gets compared to a WRX, never gets put into any category when you are seeing vehicles at around $35,000. It's the dark horse. But it's, to me, the 6-speed manual in the GLI that hurts that car completely. And just like with the Elantra N, you gotta go with the dual clutch. So that really kind of writes off the GLI if I was looking for a car with a manual. So the WRX to me is really all I have. It's the only option that I have. I think regret-wise would be I kind of wish I went with the GR86 or BRZ, and that was just a personal thing because I do own a GTI still. I haven't gotten rid of it, and I wish I had a 2-door instead of 2 4-doors. But that was me. That was me being stupid. But also, I wasn't planning on keeping this car long term, and yet here I am heading into my 8th month of ownership, and I'm having a hard time letting go of this car. So as you can tell, I'm kind of one of those people who actually has kind of fallen in love with the VB. So addressing my major concern mechanically with the VB generation WRX, or just this car in general, is the shifter. I had the STI short throw shifter equipped on my car. It came that way when I purchased it brand new. And one thing I notice is that sometimes it grinds going into second, and when it does that, it grinds getting into fourth. Now, not as bad going into fourth, but I feel it enough where I'm like, that just doesn't feel satisfying. Now, I've wondered, is it me? Is it the car? Or is it this platform? Because I've read enough on ownership forums, but also even on YouTube, that people have had some issues with this shifter. Some people have said that they don't get into sixth sometimes. And I have experienced that, where you're accelerating on the highway and trying to shift into sixth, and it won't go into 6th. But outside of that, I've had no other issues with this shifter, like some people have been complaining, where sometimes it kicks them out of 3rd and it kicks them back into neutral. That I haven't experienced at all. But there's enough concerns, there's enough people complaining about it, where I'm wondering, all right, so this could actually be a problem longevity-wise, where I could wear out this shifter at 30 or 40,000 miles if I'm not careful. And I will have the dealership address that when I go get my oil changed in the next 2,000 or 3,000 miles. So one thing I think here is that whether it's the 22 or 23, you might want to be a bit careful with this shifter, whether you want to modify it or not. But also I've noticed I've driven other VBs, mostly 24s. I don't have that problem at all, and they have the STI short throw shifter. So maybe Subaru has worked out some of the minor quirks about this car. Because I've driven other manuals as well, and I'm not having any issues. It's only with my car. So clearly it's the WRX and not me, because I have driven a Miata, I've driven the GLI, I've driven some other manual cars off camera, and also I've driven other VBs, and I haven't had that issue. So I would definitely take a closer look at that if you are looking at buying a VB generation WRX. You might want to go brand new with the 24s. I think the 24s, they've definitely done some things mechanically to make it perform better. It feels better, even with the braking, but I also think when it comes to the shifter as well. So maybe go with the 24 rather than earlier model year. But outside of that though, no complaints at all. It has been such a joy and a pleasure to drive this car around, and it's so much fun. Even stock. And I know some people who have owned VAs are going to be like, how can you drive this stock after 6 months? Like, you have to modify it, you have to tune it. To be honest, I don't really feel compelled to do so. I do want to put on an exhaust, but again, I'm not quite there yet where I'm ready to say I'm going to keep this car for over a year, year and a half, or 2+ years. But I do want to make some minor changes while I still have it, have some fun with it. But this car to me, again, is still the best in its class, I think, when it comes to performance. We can talk about some of the other things, such as technology, refinement, interior quality. That's where I feel the WRX isn't at its best. I think infotainment-wise, you're going to find better with the Honda Civic Si. I think even the Volkswagen GLI with the MIB3 user interface. If you're somebody who is a tech person, you're going to like the full digital gauge cluster in the GLI as well. And then also with these seats, with the premium at around $35,000 when I bought it brand new, you could have gotten leather with the GLI. You could have gotten some other nicer materials from other competitors. But again, it's going to come back to what I wanted in the car. I wanted a 6-speed manual, which I feel as though this feels very mechanical. This feels very tactile compared to some other manual transmissions out there. And then also, I wanted the all-wheel drive system, and I bought into the horsepower that you have here from factory. So from that standpoint, I'm still happy with this car, and I still feel as though that I made the right choice. I wouldn't have been happy with the Honda Civic Si, and having test driven a GLI, I would not have been happy with that either. The only other cars that have kind of made me question why I bought this car probably would be the Mazda Miata and the GR86. But again, those are two cars that are not in the same class. So if you're looking for a 4-door, family-friendly, 6-speed manual sports sedan, I still think the WRX is the best car out there. But what about speed and overall performance? Because a lot of people are going to say that, oh, the VB generation is slow, it's not a quick car. I get reminded of this all the time. My friends are like, Mike, your car is slow, this platform is slow. And my counter argument would be, in relation to what? In relation to what car in this market under $40,000? Because if you're comparing your experience in the VB generation to a car that's $60,000, $70,000, or $80,000, obvious it's going to feel slower than a car with an inline 6 with a V8. But within this class, it goes up against the Honda Civic Si with 200 horsepower, goes up against the Volkswagen GLI with 228 horsepower, and of course the Elantra N with the manual probably be quicker, but again, you're going to want to go with that automatic. You want to go with the dual clutch, and the same goes for the GLI. The DSG is a better choice. Manufacturers that give you a better automatic compared to a 6-speed manual, you buy in the automatic. Now that would be blasphemous for a lot of old school purists, but if you're somebody who wants the best performance, you might have to go with an automatic for the Elantra N, GTI, and GLI. But for those who want to rotate the gears yourself, I'm still convinced that the WRX is the best choice. Now, off the line with this car, it is so slow. I mean, it just creeps. Once I see the light turn green, I'm like, I'm not being anybody initially. I won't be being anybody until I'm in third or fourth gear, and once this car is in boost. But also, as I talked about before with the shifter, I have to be careful. I can't get into second too quickly. Otherwise, I notice that grinding a bit. So, it's not the quickest car at all. But then when you're on back roads, when you're in third or fourth gear, you can have a lot more fun with this car, especially when it's in boost. That's really where it's at home. And when you are on the back roads or on the highway, drop a gear and the person behind you will disappear. And that makes me giggle a bit. But everything else, though, I can live with and I can deal with. Although the short gear ratios are kind of getting on my nerves the longer I drive manual and the more comfortable I get driving stick, where I'm like, I really wish I could wring this car out a bit more. Also, I can live with the somewhat poor fuel economy. Even though if I drive conservatively on the highway, I can get 29 miles per gallon. The 25 miles per gallon combined isn't too bad for me. I can live with it. I only fill up once a week, really. So, not too bad at all, at least for my driving, but I also work a hybrid lifestyle, so I'm home half the week and then I'm out going to different locations to film, so that is not something that I'm going to be too concerned about, at least for my situation. And even though I've complained about the brakes on this channel quite a bit, I've gotten used to them. I now know this car's limitations, capabilities, and just what it can do on a winding back road. Although I would definitely love to have those Brembos that are on the TR and the new TS. But one thing I will say though, and this might shock some people who know me probably will be like, yeah, that figures. I probably won't return to the WRX platform after I sell this car. I don't think I'll go with a TS. I don't think I would buy an STI whenever that comes out, especially with it probably being hybridized or having some form of electrification. That I'm not too sure of. I'm not too ready to go in that direction quite yet. And it has nothing to do with this car. I love it. It's become a great daily driver. I've enjoyed every minute of it. But I feel like I've experienced a WRX enough where I'm like, all right, I'm ready to move on. Because I don't think I'll buy a VA. I really don't like the VA. I haven't had enough time to experience the older WRX platforms and generations. So I really can't say whether I'd go too far in the past, say like to a 2005 model year. I will say though, I do love the older WRXs and STIs from the late 90s and very early 2000s. But I don't think I'd ever go in that direction for a purchase when it comes to buying a car that is older at around that time frame. Because I'd probably go with a Porsche 911, Porsche Boxster, BMW Z3, or other Euro cars from that era. But don't let my thoughts on the WRX sway you from choosing the VB. It is a fantastic car. I still think the best car under 40 grand, and I stand by that statement because there is nothing else out there that really makes a better value proposition. I think it's better than the Honda Civic SI, the Volkswagen GTI and GLI, and it really makes you question why people are spending $45,000, $50,000 for a Honda Civic Type R and Integra Type S, which only gives you around 315 horsepower. That just isn't enough. Buy a WRX, tune it, and you have more horsepower than those two cars. But also, you could have the conversation that with the WRX, that technology-wise, it falls a bit behind compared to some rivals. Also, of course, interior quality and just seat material at 35 grand, you could probably get better from rivals. But from an on-road driving perspective, there is nothing better than what you have here with this car. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, let me know in the comment section below if you're experiencing similar problems with your shifter, whether it is that grinding in the second and fourth gear or anything else other people have been noting here with this shifter. But I will definitely get that addressed sometime soon. Also, of course, there will be some more videos coming for this car. I had to install that taillight to turn signal conversion kit. That will probably be coming within about a week or so, hopefully, fingers crossed on that one. And also, of course, I have no intention of selling this car anytime soon, so the VB content will be continuing for this channel. But guys, once again, thanks so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.